Hello, hello, hello. Hello, how's it going? Happy Thursday. Yay, nice, Nancy. I'm glad you figured it out. Feels like, I think that I probably should have kept both the sewing. Usually I do cutting or drafting on Wednesdays, and then Thursday and Saturday I sew the whatever I'm making, and I think I should have kept the 2 days because this seems kind of ambitious to sew it all on Saturday. I mean, I can, but it's like, why push it, you know? Like, why not spread it out? Maybe I could do part 1 tomorrow, if you guys are up for that, and then part 2 on Saturday. That works. So, hi Hillary, hi Tanya, hi Margaret, hi Tiffany. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I know you're all working, you know. So, you have been here, I think, for my last few bags. So my last one was this, if you remember. Oh, here, let me get rid of this image. Okay, so you guys all helped me design the ideal bag, which is a free pattern on my website. And then I modified it to be my ideal bag because the other one I designed based on all the input you all wanted. You wanted it to fit like a laptop, a medical device, you know, things like that. So it had lots of options, right? And I took that bag, and I think the major change I did was I made a zipper top without a flap. And I never zip it shut, obviously, because now it's like kind of pulled up. But this is the bag I've been using for years, and it's definitely, it's not bad. I actually threw this is waxed canvas. I threw it in the laundry last year. I love how much more crinkly on camera it looks than in person. You know, like all the shadows show up. It's really neat. Like, look at all that. That's not that bad in person. There were a few things that didn't work out with this bag that I learned. This fat flap was just not like long enough. So it usually does this. Probably because I use it a lot, this pocket. Hi Bernie, or Malcolm, right? Hi Sylvia, hi Amy. So it does fit my iPad in the back. I used all scrap fabric to make the lining part of it. And that's part of the problem with my bag is that my straps were Liberty, because you know. And the straps definitely don't look, they look pretty tired, right? And I really like a bag that has like a handle here so I don't have to use the strap. And then I kind of homemade the little shoulder felt thing. Ooh, I can save all this. I've already used this hardware a few times. Inside, okay, so this is another pocket that didn't quite work right here. It did have a flap on it that I took off, pretty sure. Yeah, I think it had a flap. And the problem is that my bag is usually doing this, like the strap is like is over it. So slipping my phone in there was just too cumbersome because I usually carry my bag by these straps, right? It works if I'm wearing it and I slip it in there, but I end up throwing it in here. And on the inside of my bag, I did have a pocket deep enough for a book or something right here. I don't carry a laptop. Hi, Michelle. It has a pocket right here with a flap that I didn't even realize was there. I never use. That holds my wallet, which is right here, right? And then here are 2 zippered pockets. I do use these. I don't use both zippers. And then this was a spot to hold a water bottle so that it wouldn't like flop over into my bag. I never use it. I've become a person that does not want to carry a water bottle ever unless I'm going like on a long trip or I'm just feeling like I'm thirsty when I leave. But I am a weirdo. I will, if I'm thirsty, I just bring a glass with me in the car and drink it on my way home and then put the glass back in my office when I'm done, right? So And then this is my back doc. I really like being able to hold a document in here because I carry a lot of papers. I'm usually I'm one of those people that always has to have something with me as far as to work on or something, even if I won't have time to work on it. It just is, it's kind of like a comfort thing. Usually it's fitting stuff. I really like looking at fitting stuff or old books or new books or whatever and just kind of looking through them and kind of going, you know, whatever. I don't know. So anyway, this is the one I'm retiring. And what I decided, there's all kinds of junk in my bag. What I decided is, I mean, the bag does hold a bit, but honestly, all I put in here, I have everything out. I put in my iPad, my phone, my car keys, my lip stuff, my wallet. That's all I carry. So if I'm not carrying this, that's all I need. I don't usually carry a purse. I'm not a purse person. Hi, Jan. So I am also someone who has I worked in the outerwear industry long enough to know that more pockets is not better. More pockets, you can't fill all your pockets because then you can't use the bag or the jacket or whatever. You have to choose, right? And I think it's nice to have options, but if you're making it yourself, you don't have to have all the options. You just need the options you need, right? So this one had probably a couple options too many. I don't need the water bottle thing. I don't need one of these zippers. Probably, I don't know. I did use these because they were kind of nice to put something secure in there that I didn't worry about. And I really like this being able to separate whatever was in my bag. So the only other thing I would throw in here is shopping bags, like for going grocery shopping. So my iPad's usually in here or here. Wallet, phone and keys. And I don't really like my phone and my keys in the same pocket. So anyway, I decided that I was going to, so let's see. I feel like this is the Sandhill sling. So I've made lots of these. Hi, Hannah. I've made lots of these. This is the latest one I made for my daughter for Christmas. And you can see the pattern is off to the left underneath it, a photo of it. I never took, this is like the only photo I got of it, and I made her a matching wallet. And do you see up at the top, it has one strap. So it's like a crossbody strap. It has one pocket here and one pocket on the inside. It's a really great little bag to make. I've made lots. I've made her probably 3 or 4. She loves it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to size up this noodlehead bag because I'm kind of ready for a vertical option, not a messenger option, because messenger bags bump into things when you're shopping. And then here is my list of things that I want. Okay, now I looked at sizing up the Sandhill sling. I looked at the proportions of it, and I realized what was going to happen was I was going to get a bag that was too narrow and too tall, and so then I'm just redrafting someone else's design, and I don't really need to do that. Her design's awesome. I love it. So, and like I said, I've made it. We even used to have a group in the guild just for the Sandhill sling because so many of us had made it, and I did Zoom so long, and now that's become like a bag making group. So then I was like, wait a minute, I've had a bag like this like a really, really long time ago. You're also going to notice a theme that I really like green and orange. So this was an excellent, excellent bag. I love this bag to pieces, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to copy it. It is dated, like my phone will not fit into this little pocket anymore. Like when there was no iPhones when this bag came out. I really love, the other thing I like about this over the, wait, I have to remember. Yeah, so also the top of the Sandhill would be fine because it unzips You have to think about like how a bag unzips. Like if it just stops here, it really limits what you can put in the bag. So if it goes around the corners, it makes it a lot easier to access what's inside. And the sandhill does do that, but the strap for the sandhill is here and here, right? And I really like it on the sides. So this would enable that because you can offset the zipper to the front like this, or the back, whatever you want, but I would do the front. I can skip this because this just wouldn't fit. Hi, Julie. Just wouldn't fit my phone without struggling. Like my original cell phone, my very first one, I fit in there great, but it just doesn't now. So it would go in here. So what I'm thinking is this is going to be my phone pocket, and also I'm going to put a little gathered pocket here for keys so that I'm not bashing my phone screen with my keys. I'm going to keep a zippered pocket inside, keep the back document pocket and the back zippered pocket. So, and I'm going to get rid of this. So I'm pretty much going to copy this. I actually thought this wouldn't work for my bag. I would have to change the dimensions of this. I just now tried it before the stream and it works. And also I want a pencil pocket. Like maybe, well, let's see. Well, hey, there we go. Mine holds on top with a magnet, right? Like here. I don't trust that when I throw it in my bag, so I would do that. But this would work. I think I can, yeah, this would work. This is like the minimum size it can be. So that makes me really happy because I was a little worried my plan today, I was going to end up with a bag that was bigger than this, and I think this great. This works great. So magnets near an iPhone are not a big deal at all because a lot of iPhones have a magnet right here, or credit cards. That's kind of outdated. I'm pretty sure kind of an outdated thing, but you can look into it. Because I've worried about that before too. So I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about that. And there's no magnets in this either. I mean, and if there's if this is a problem, it's an iPad. So if the magnet there was a problem, I've had this thing for 7 years. 7 years. I love this iPad. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, I knew someone was going to come into the comments, Malcolm, and tell you because I don't really know anymore. I'll also be making a new wallet with my wallet pattern. I know it is super Becky home-ecky, but I love it. No, it comes up every time, Malcolm. This was a nice little purse. It's just not going to work, but I just thought it was really funny that green has definitely been a theme, and I was thinking about removing parts off of this. I don't know, it's still in really good condition, so maybe I could clean it up and move it on to somebody else. This is kind of clever, a little snap with elastic. I don't see why you would be stretched. You would never stretch this pocket like this. That it would be more damaging to the lining than this. Yeah, so that's the plan. Let's keep this guy out. And where's that little, oh, here it is right here. I'm going to just throw all my weird personal stuff. And, well, I might need this. I don't need this. No, I don't need any of this because I'm just going to copy this purse. So that's what we're doing. We're basically going to copy a purse today. Oh, and then my fabric choices, I am not doing green. Are you shocked? I'm going to do this green waxed canvas from Al Francis and an homage to Smokey the Bear as my lining because I think that's really cute. So that's my plan. And we can move this stuff out of the way too. No green. I know. It is crazy. Crazy talk. There is like sand in this purse. I don't know where it's coming from, but I do a lot of green anyway. All right, so we're gonna take some measurements. I'm gonna start with some measurements. All right. Have a good ruler. I think the trickiest thing to sew on this bag, you know I'd be looking for this for days, is this little pocket here. It's not hard. True story, I've copied this purse before and I sewed and sold them. But it was on a really small scale. Like I did like 3, like really small scale. One was a really cool cherry blossom print. It was like black with cherry blossoms. I just remembered. I can't remember what the others look like. Anyway, what I was thinking was sewing the lining to the outer, right sides together, turning it, and then you just edge stitch around the perimeter. This is turned under. It's not that hard to sew. It's more that getting it straight, right? Because you don't want it like this on your bag and you don't want it pulling like this, right? So I feel like that's the toughest thing. Zipper tape is notoriously it wiggles. But that's all it is. It's just zipper tape sewn down right there. See? Expensive bag, cheap sewing. The interior is all bound. You know it. You know what I'm doing there. These zippers are ridiculously easy to put in. The sewing in this bag, not hard. Not at all. So let's just do it here. So we want the overall dimensions. We want this little guy here. We want our zipper pocket lengths. And then maybe some positions for straps and stuff. Like how high this goes right here, right? And then we have a zipper that comes down to the front. Right, something like that. I think that the seam right here is purely decorative. I'm not sure, like the fact that it's got it's like a saddle right here, you know, like it's got, but there's no stiffener in this. Maybe it is clean finish. That's the spirit, Michelle. I love to hear that. I think, you know, this could add some stability and just a nice top stitch opportunity. I actually like this, and I think I'll keep this because I think it looks more polished rather than just being one solid continuous piece that goes around. I think I'll do that. I think it's a nice touch if I remember to do it. And yeah, so we could turn this inside out to take the measurements. But you see how this is bound right here? We'll just fold this back right here. And when you're copying something, the biggest thing to remember when you're copying anything is to be consistent if you're including the seam allowances or not. I say don't include them. And that's just because you can always add whatever you want, and you're most likely going to switch midway through measuring and start adding seam allowances or stop adding seam allowances. So I just say don't add them. You know what I mean, jelly beans? So yeah. This is 11.5. My iPad is 11, okay. There is definitely some grit in this bag. I'll slide it all off at the end because it's going to drive me crazy. So what are you guys all working on? Tell me what you're up to these days. I can't remember. Did I mention that I put an update about Fittopedia on my blog post, as a blog post on my website? You might have gotten an email newsletter too. This is almost 10 inches wide, so we're gonna make it 10. This little guy here is like 7/8. This is almost an inch. It's not drawn to scale. So let's measure this finished width here. And the finished height. And I'm going, you see how there's a little like gusset right here? I'm going corner to corner. So I'm going to go from this corner to the top. Style Arc Willow pants. Those sound like they are like comfy, like elastic waist and perfect for lounging. Hexies, always the Hexies. Cameron shirt and the balloon cardigan. Did I make that? I did not make that, right? I don't even know. I was looking for a picture a pattern the other day, and I was like, what is this pattern by Wardrobe by Me? And I clicked it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. I didn't remember I made it. All right, so now this is tricky. So you have the top stitch line right here. That's in this case the seam, because see how I can lift up the edge. So you gotta just remember where you're measuring from. I'm gonna measure to this outer edge. Well, there's gotta be a sew along, right? Is there not one? I'll bet there's a sew along. I actually have never watched any of the other sew alongs, so I don't know how they are or who does them. Oops. Sorry, Loki's snoring pretty bad. This is also 7/8. There's usually a theme of proportions with bags, I've noticed. You can't find one? It's not on her product page? Oh. Bummer. You can always request one. She's awesome. If I just said, hey, can I sew that for you? Like, do you need me to do it so long? She'd be like, sure. I don't want to take advantage of her. Cigarette pants. Oh, they're not, Nancy. Oh. So you'll look willowy in them. You're kicking around some ideas for a new English favorite piece of product. Ooh. Do you create your own patterns, Tiffany, always, or do you use someone else's? Like you were playing with something with a Cricut machine. Wait, not a Cricut. What were you doing in live chat? That I didn't want to interrupt that. I interrupted it, then I was like, oh, I'm not going to interrupt it, because you guys were really noodling on the whole like trying to get it right. 3 3/4 and 3 1/2. I like it when it adds up, you know? This is 7 1/2 to here to here. Yeah, what was that for? Okay, we're gonna get rid of this right here. 3 1/2, so that would make 4 down below. Oh, that's what I thought. You made it up as you go. That's almost 4. I'm wondering if it's just the rounded corner thing. Okay. Yeah, Cricut can cut fabric, but I don't think it's an efficient way to cut fabric. Not like a ton, you know? All right, so let's check out the zipper length. Some of the stuff's already been done for you. Okay, one thing I'll note as a person who used to manufacture bags and design them and sell them is when you're doing a zip opening like this, you have to take into account how much your slider takes up space. So if you're like, oh, I definitely want my hand to fit in there and I want a 4.5-inch opening. And then if you made your zipper pocket 4.5 inches, you probably can't get your hand in there because this thing will take up like a 1/2 inch sometimes or more. So make sure you make your opening plus your slider. Don't ever underestimate the slider or whatever's going on at the end there. So you'll learn that the hard way because it's such a lot of work when you don't get it right, you know. I think this is the exact, well, this one's 7.5. 7 inside. I usually would probably have a creative process here, but I really do love this bag, like kind of like how it is. Well, I don't need to measure the width of that, but I do want to measure the depth of this. 8. So the back pocket height is 8 inches. And the zipper back zip 2 inches from top. And are these offset from one another? They're kind of not. So they're like right on top of each other. Yeah. Have you used the Notes? Oh, do you have an iPhone? I can't remember. The Notes app has a scanning feature now. What is all this? Oh, this is my Sharpie. Okay. You can't see that, but I can. I forget that the Notes app has a scanning feature now. I played around with it for scanning patterns, and it was not great. Like, I saw someone promoting that, like, in the sewing community, and honestly, you can just take a photo on a grid mat, and it's great. I think it depends on how you need the image into the computer. That's kind of the crux, because I feel like I'm always trying to outsmart apps, you know? I think if you need background remover, you are already limiting yourself to things, so yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So if you take a photo on a grid, does that help you in any way? Because sometimes it's like, it's never quite right. The camera definitely distorts things, but it can help. I will do that, and then I will put the image in Procreate, and I will put my background grid to match the grid that it's on, and you can tell the grid that the mat is on is skewed because of the camera, so it's not 100%. What was I about to measure? Oh, the depth of the bag, the depth. All right, and then we're gonna get drafting. Except I wanna measure where this lands as well. So it's like almost there. Okay, and then you don't ever want these kinds of things to land at the corners, because why make your life harder, right? You have nothing to prove. You have nothing to prove. I feel like people don't say that enough in sewing. You have nothing to prove. Why are we making it harder? All right, so this is, I feel like that's, yeah, it's like a 3/4 inch back off. That sounds about right. Oh, I'm already getting hungry. That's a bad sign. Why am I already getting hungry? It's only 11:30. Okay. And then we're going to measure the height of the sides here. Let's actually measure this side. Oh, there you go. Yeah, the ruler helps too. The things we do. Does this line? No, it doesn't. Okay, so this is. Okay. We'll set you aside for now, and we'll set the iPad aside. Just like that. Oh, I did bring my, didn't I? Yes. I brought my little brush. I'm slowly but steadily moving out of my paradise office. I am not exaggerating when I say I've been moving for a literal year, and I'm really tired of it. I have moved my office so many times. I think that I've had 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th office only since I started live streaming. And I started like 7 years ago in August. 5th office. Like, come on. I'll still keep a desk up there, and also just because of the social aspect of being there with my friend. But, you know. All right, so we have our plan. And this is a nice, oh man. Oh well, I lost my thumb tie. This is a nice opportunity to use a grid ruler. Because no matter what you think, I guarantee you most likely did not get a right angle when you did it with a grid ruler like this. So if you start with 2, and then you can measure out from there. So we can, and you don't measure along here and then square over. You measure parallel to each line, right? You gotta set yourself up for success. You also shouldn't be drafting with a Sharpie. I'm just doing it so you can see what I'm actually doing. And if you'd like me to bring down the camera, I can lower it a little bit. All right, so this will be the basis of our front and our back. And then we're gonna add some seam allowance right now to this. This is why I like grid rulers. This is really easy to do. And I'm putting my line on my grid on the inside of the black line, not in the middle of it and not on the outside. Because the Sharpie is just too thick. It actually adds too much. All right, now we're going to round the corners. And the way I usually, I've been taught a few ways to do curves before, and I'm going to show you one of them just because it's funny. But we're going to mark on each corner the amount we want to round it. And so usually, let's just kind of play around with stuff. So if it's something like that, yeah, I was going to guess 3/4. So what I do is I will make a little 3/4 mark and a 3/4 mark like this. And if you want it symmetrical, you can make this symmetrical. But what I used to do, and if you look closely at my ruler, I've had this ruler since 1991. Do you see all the little tiny dashes around it? I've taped it. This is actually a sentimental object. That's why it's taped together. This right here used to be a sticker, so I could see the ruler on my desk and not lose it. Now I can just see, I just know where it's at. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll find a curve I like, and it'll be really hard on this, such a small, because this is for mostly like armholes and things. I'm going to look at the interior, and maybe the interior I'll like better. But if I use a curve, which I don't normally for corners like this, I don't really like this, honestly. That's a little better. The curve on this isn't very symmetrical on the ruler. Do I like that? But this is what I would do. I would mark on the ruler where to line up things like that. And I know this is the short end, and now I'm going to go like this, flip it over. Oh, I need to mark 3/4. Like if you're doing this digitally, it's a whole other, you know, game. But we didn't have that option, you know, so that's how I would do it. And then I'm gonna flip it over here. I have I've had it since 1991, Jan. Come on. Come on, Jan. What were you doing in 91? There's a lot of ways to do that, but that's just kind of a cheeky way to do it, you know? All right. And I honestly, like, I don't mind if there were like 2 different curves on either way. Thanks, Sylvia. All right, so now I need 2 of these. And so I think right now I'm just going to cut out 2 right now. So that way we can cut them or use them the same. So I also wouldn't use a rotary knife if I wanted to be 100% accurate. Actually, a smaller rotary knife would be better in this case. Actually, you know what? I want to be a little more. It is the one that came with my school kit. It absolutely is. How'd you know? I wonder if they're still using it. I don't know. I lost it once for a while, and I was pretty bummed, you know. But it was really easy to lose because of it being clear. Even though I did have those little stickers on it. That usually would help me see it, you know, like on the table. I've always been kind of a messy drafter, just like you see on the Procreate screen. I really have gotten better, but that's as good as I've gotten. Like, honestly, like, I'm just messy. So, you know, that little ruler could get slipped under things so easily that I would lose it. So, yeah, the stickers helped. Oh, man, I just ripped that. Why is this ripping my... This doesn't usually rip my things. Weird. Okay. Let's fix this real quick. All right. So the front is only going to get the placement markings for this little pocket. The back is going to get the zipper at the top, and we noted that and we can also do okay, so one thing I also like to note is that this pocket, it doesn't line up with anything, not the bottom of the zipper opening. It doesn't line up with the pocket here. And that's great because if you're using thicker fabrics, you don't really want these things to line up. You want to offset them. Even if you offset them just a little bit, it'll make your sewing a lot easier. In bag making especially, just because you're usually using like thicker stuff, right? So let's put a grain line on here so we know this is our pattern piece and we don't lose it. And the back zip is 2 inches from the top. So I've already had my seam allowance, so we're gonna draw something like this. And then because I'm not selling this pattern, I'm gonna just mark the middle like this. But I would normally make sure like like with a ruler. So back zip is 7.5, so that's 3 3/4 right here. We need this a little longer. Just measuring from my center line so that my zipper is centered, and then I'm going to double check it by looking at the distance from the side. So I'm always double checking my things like that are centered, right? And then we're going to make this a box. Now, the zipper I have on hand, how wide is my zipper tape? So usually when I'm using the zipper by the yard, the zipper tape is like 1 1/4. If I were to use brass zippers, same thing, but do I have enough brass zippers in the colors that I want? Let's check real quick here. Oh, Julie's gonna love this. Brass long. Oh, I might need this. Oh, I also have, okay. I just organized all my notions because of, moving. But I just put them in these little cubbies and then label the end. That's brass long. Brass short, this is heavy. Dress zippers, we don't need that. And then separating zippers. But I bought all these separating zippers when we did the bag. Remember the bag, the garment duffel bag? So could I get away with that? Right? I don't know about that. But let's keep this out. All right, so let's put that aside. We don't need separating zippers, but I could have just cut that off and used them. I was having pangs over buying that. All right, and this right here is longer ones. So I would need, if I'm using these, I have to have enough to go over the top and at least match one zipper on the outside. So that means I'm limited to what I have as far as long zippers, and I just don't really have very many. I don't really have any. So let's see. I have this. That could work really nicely, actually. I have black. Okay, so I have 2 of these. I think if I go with anything, I'm going to do that. Do I have a zipper that matches? If not, I would use both of those. That could work. Okay, so our zipper on the over the top of the bag, I think I measured it and then I didn't write down because I didn't want to do that at this time. I like to double check my math. So let's just get an idea of what we need. I wouldn't mind having a tape measure right now. So 22. I just dropped something on the ground, but I don't know what it was. 22. It's not this one. This could work. 18. Oh, shoot. This will almost work. And then I could use this on the back of the bag. And then now I have 2 matching zippers. This will work. Okay, so we'll do that. And then on the inside, we can do whatever we want with this fabric, and it doesn't have to be brass. Because brass is kind of clunky, in my opinion. It's very sticky. What did I drop? Oh well, we'll find it later. Maybe it was just that out of the thing. I don't know. But that is cute. Who's gonna have a Smokey the Bear bag? This girl. aren't the same. No, these are all much shorter. See, these are all jean zippers. Who needs a jean zipper? Jeez Louise, look at that. I have so many. I can't even blame buying a pack of colors like I can these. Like you buy a pack of colors from way back. One of these actually could work for my interior, but no. Colors do we have here? Maybe we do green as an homage to green, but we have the brass. What side do we need? We need a 7-inch if we're staying true. Okay, this is 7 inches. So that's a possibility. All right, we can figure that out later. Great. Okay, we've kept the integrity of our bins. Very important. Yeah, right? Who's got a fat bear? This girl. This doesn't quite work for me, this color with the, well, I mean, it works really well with that. It works great if I take this away. So that might be, it's just so different from that. I think this kind of ties in better. So we'll just keep those aside. Let's move them out of the way. Over here. The others are just invisible, long and short, or my standard zipper by the yard in cream and black. So the cat, oh really? Oh cool. I mean, right now, is anyone else still like checking out the eaglets from Big Bear? I've been like following them since they were, you know, before they hatched. And they're about to fledge. They're like teenagers right now who still want to be hand fed and not leave the house. And then also they're about to like fly away, which is nuts. I know, zipper by the yard is so good. This is too, anything coil, you can just sew right over it. We like that, because this one's going to be a problem on the back. All right. So here's our plan. And now the reason we went through this exercise was to measure our zipper tape to make sure this one's not 1 1/4 inch and neither, this one's an inch. So we're gonna leave an inch opening for our interior zipper and 1 1/4 inch for our exterior. This is actually not quite 1 1/4 inch. It's like 1 1/8 inch. Because yes, that's a real measurement. All right. We'll put that aside here. All right. Let's move these guys. So the back has 1 1/8 inch plus that. So it's like a little less than 5/8 of an inch opening. Or I'm sorry, not opening, but zipper width. So we need 1/2 inch off of that amount, leaves us with about 5/8 of an inch. Half of that is like 1/4 inch plus, and that will be 1/2 of our zipper width or opening width here. This is probably gonna make more sense in a second, because I know you're like, what is she talking about right now? So right there, now this opening right here reflects if we had a zipper behind the opening, right? This is gonna get slipped behind here, top stitched down. So we need seam allowance sticking out on either side, right? So that's why we needed this to be wider than the opening. That's what I was trying to figure out. All right. And then we can draft the document pocket now. I think this piece right here will be large enough. So let's just cut this off. And at a certain point, you know, you can, if they're symmetrical, you can start drafting this way. It's not as accurate though, but it'll work for my bag, right? I mean, even look at that. That isn't, why is that folded like that? There we go. You have to fold it in half accurately to even get a semblance of accuracy as well, which I hadn't. I was like, wow, my curves look terrible. But no, they look pretty good. All right, so let's draw this in so you can see it. Make sure that's a right angle to the fold. And have you guys ever copied a favorite bag before? I know Susan just did. I know Susan's not here, but Susan just posted one in the guild. That was pretty cool. Where did we put the... Did I not write that down? Oh, back pocket height, 8 inches. I was going to say, I thought I did. 8 1/4, because we already have seam allowance here. So we add it. Oh my gosh, here we go. Again, I'm lining up my line to the outer edge of my Sharpie line to be as accurate as possible. I don't want to lose like little increments, like 16ths or 1/8, because I'm cutting it really close for this fitting my iPad. All right, and then we're going to add seam allowance to this. And I also want it to all sew together really easily, right? So one of the hardest notches to put on a bag with rounded corners is one right here, but it's also the most helpful when you're sewing it. So I highly recommend doing that. Let's cut this piece out first. That's awesome. You have your tried and true purse. One of the cool, like, and I think now I know, I look back, that it was kind of a bonding thing for my mom and I, was all growing up, we were always looking for the perfect, you know, purse. And we would always look when we were shopping together for that, you know, perfect purse. And you know, you'd get close, or you'd fall in love with something that was close, but you really loved the fabric, so you'd compromise, and then you'd still be like, this isn't my favorite bag. My mom's favorite bag ended up being the Hillside Tote by Noodlehead. And she was like, this is it. I've found it. And so that's awesome. I didn't have to come up with that. I didn't have to copy anything. I just make tiny modifications for what she likes. So, all right, so to figure out where you're going to put that notch. Now, you could be very literal and go, okay, I'm going to cut this fabric right side up. And I could put this notch, as long as it's in the same spot as this one here, we're good, right? But let's say you cut it, whatever, you know, you cut it flipped over, and this corner now is on that corner, you know. So if you wanted to be accurate, you're going to be measuring along your seam line, right? So you're going to be measuring along here. You're going to make it parallel to the outer curve there, and doing that, and then like drawing it in and making sure that it's actually on the spot. And then the other, like a more of a sneaky cheeky way to do it would be to fold your pattern here and line up the sides for a long distance. Like, you want to make sure you're really lining up, finding the center of the corner like that, and then that could be your notch, all right? So that's what I'm going to do, because it's my bag. And then we would do this with all this, and this will just help us keep oriented. It's nice to have the center of your bag, you know, like right here. That's great, but let's face it, the corners are the hardest. Yeah, that's awesome, Amy. Yeah, that's a simple bag. It's just like works. It's kind of similar to that green and orange one I had. but I think it's a little roomier. And it comes in 2 sizes, I think. I love that I'm just promoting Noodlehead today. Sandhill Sling, the Hillside. She makes great bags though. These notches are so important because when you're sewing a bag where the sides of the bag, you know, these right here, aren't apart, like they're like seamless to the front or the back. What happens is, like if this was just like some bags, you know, you would sew the corner in as you're putting it together, right? You like fold it, and sew across that little, and cut the triangle off, right? You know, that's great because you can kind of keep your bag plumb, you know, so that it's not sitting or, you know, doing any of this kind of thing, right? When you have a bag like this where there's a front, a back, and sides, the hardest part about this whole bag, start to finish, is making sure that when you sew this to that perimeter, you don't get it like this, right? What if you got the bag like the back like this and the front like this and your back? It's enough to make you rage quit when you're sewing. So give yourself these little corner notches and make them non-negotiable when you're sewing, because if you're getting off track, you can't really go, I'm a little off track here. If you're not on by the time you get to this one, things are going to be askew. So it kind of forces you to be honest while you're sewing and make your choices between the notches rather than overall, you know. You don't have to fit, you know, clothes when you're making bags. You just have to fit the bag to the bag. You get a free pass on fitting, but you also don't want it to be funky. Okay, so we did that, and now we can just transfer these to this one. And then we'll have to measure for the baffle, the sides. Oops. I love how I can barely see my notch. If I use my notcher upside down, I think of this as being right side up now, but then you can see in the little window where you're notching, because this is how you get it, right? Have you ever used one of these? You see right there, there's like a little blade. You see the hole through there, right? You can do that. You can go like that, but this is more accurate to be able to see where you're notching. When I figured that out, I kind of was like, I wonder if I just missed it in school that everybody was doing that but me. Like maybe I was using it wrong through school, but it turns out no, you just got to figure that out, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Move that ruler out of the way. All right, so now we have our back pocket. And we're going to label and mark it so we don't lose our pattern piece. And, oh, we don't have a blue marker. Let's fix that. Because I'm very organized right now. I know right where one is. Well, let's face it, I was organized before too, but it's just all here now. Okay. One lining. How far away is this from the side? I don't want this to run into the markings for the pocket. Okay. And we need to still place the pocket that's going to go there. So this is our back. One lining, no pocket opening. Whoops. But we need a pocket. We need a pocket to hang down inside here because I'm not going to use the space between this entire back and lining as the pocket bag. That's just too much and messy. So let's see how deep we want it. This one's pretty deep. I'm not sure I need it that deep. Like, it actually does go to the bottom, but it is separate, see? Do I want it that large? I don't really think it needs to be that large. I think I'm going to make it more like 7 inches deep. Is this large enough? Not really, of course. All right, so for our pocket bag, we're gonna make it, I'm gonna make it 3/4 of an inch wider than my pocket here. Oh, okay. I was like, wait. Okay, so 9. And then we're gonna make it go, the back of the pocket goes to the top, the front of the pocket goes to the bottom here. So we're gonna need it to be, here we can draw it in there to give us a visual, which is, so you can see what I'm doing here. So 3/4. Most people only give you a 1/4 inch seam right here, and I just like more. I think it's just easier to sew because I don't have anything to prove, right? Right. Okay, so. And then we're gonna go 7 inches down. So this is my little bag. You can see I drew in pencil, so right here, right? And it's gonna go, the back of it, like it's gonna go from here up to the back. So it's one piece. So we need it to be, we need seam allowance at this edge and this edge. So I measure a 1/4 inch above this line here, down to here. And then I measure from here to a 1/4 inch past this line. Actually, let's do this. That's why we got it out. I don't like the shadow that let's do it from this side maybe. This always is going to cast a shadow with certain lights. Now, I believe with pockets, the less notches and stuff, the better, because when you're sewing your pocket, it doesn't matter what end is the top and which is the bottom. So just, you don't need a notch here at the fold, in other words. Like, don't limit yourself that way. It just makes it harder to deal with when you're sewing. You'll be like, oh no, my fold is like is 3/4 of an inch off of my notch. Who cares? It doesn't matter. In this case, it doesn't matter. Okay, wait, I want to. That's a big pattern piece. This one we're only going to make in lining. If we made this on the inside, we could use the same lining piece. So why is this pocket smaller? Huh. Probably because it's just harder to get along the sides there. But we could use the same pattern piece and say, you know, cut a 1/2 inch narrower. That works. We'll do that. Let's cut this out and I'll show you where this is going. Now this piece needs the zipper opening on it. This is dangerous. I can't wait for my tables to be down here. I'm gonna get like 2 feet more of space. Told you I'm messy. You see how, did you see my ruler waver there? Okay, so here is our pocket, right? So if this edge goes like a 1/4 inch past the top there, because we need seam allowance, right? And this one goes a 1/4 inch past the bottom. There, oh look, perfectly, almost perfectly on my line there. There's my pocket bag. Boop, okay. And then this is also, well, you know, actually, if we should use this as our lining to face the opening. What am I thinking? So then it would go to the top in both cases. So I need like a 1/2 inch more. So we're gonna do that. That'll be a lot easier to sew. And it'll serve as a way to clean finish the opening. And that's exactly how I was planning on sewing it, but I didn't draft the pattern that way initially. So let's just do that real quick. And no, I don't want to lose a 1/4 inch of my pocket depth. So I'm adding a 1/2 inch to the bottom. You guys all ready for summer? Those of you in the like northern hemisphere. It's starting to heat up here. All right. Now the back pocket is secured, except that we just need to put the pocket opening on the back here. You know what that's from, Malcolm? Because I do it too. It's that you're pushing this. You're doing like this, right? So in other words, I got my blade shut, so I don't want any comments about making you nervous about my blade, okay? But if you, because I do this all the time, if you're pushing your ruler against the rotary knife, it's gonna slip because if you push, like see if now I'm pushing, but the thing to do is to push down, right? Don't push against your ruler or your rotary knife, push down against the table, and that helps a lot. So, oh yeah, Tiffany, I know, huh? I think that some parents are like, oh, I can't wait to not be in the school nonsense, and others are like, I don't want my kids to go to school. Danny, that's awesome. Hi. Oh, Nancy. Nancy, you need a summer place, somewhere warm, because I know you like the warmth. Yeah, I'm guilty of that too, Malcolm. Like I literally just did that on camera, so I know I do it too. Okay, I'm rethinking my pocket here. Because if I have it like this, this one will go here, and then this one goes, yeah, I would like more space above the pocket. You know what I mean? They didn't do that though. They just went right to the top. Savage. Savage. Oh, they didn't even sew this the way I would have. Okay, interesting. Yeah, see, they sewed this the way I first designed the pocket. Because what we could do is this, if this goes like that. This one, this end would have the pocket opening drawn on like this. What do I want? I would need a little more depth to my pocket. I see why they did that way. What do I want? I'm gonna just add a little more to the bottom, just so I'm covered. I remember the planning of summer camp was just so much work. And competitive. It was ridiculous. And expensive. I remember because I'd be like, okay, I have $600 to spend for the whole summer on summer camp. How can I stretch that? And we would do trades and things as well. And that would basically be like, you know, summer camp at like maybe one cool thing, and that was it for like 2 weeks. Yeah, and in February, exactly. Like you're not even thinking about it, and you're like, wait, what? All right, so now I've given myself, I'm going to draw myself a little guide here, a little 1/2-inch guide. We're going to make this very easy, just in case someone's following along. We're going to, now, this right here, let's look at this pocket, like, okay, I'll show you how. So you see how when my hand goes into this pocket, my palm is facing this side of the pocket? That's this right here. And then this is the top, right? This right here, the top layer, is the layer that the zipper gets sewn to. So technically, you would want to mark, like if this is the right side of your fabric, you would want to mark this side of the pocket. I just confused myself. So we're going to mark it on here. And we're just going to trace it because I can see it since I used a Sharpie. Wait, is that parallel to that edge? Kind of, sort of, but not really. So. And then there we go. Make a parallel line. You want it to be the same. There we go. And then we're going to get rid of the wrong line. My table is wobbling. Okay. Like this. There we go. All right. And we'll use this whole setup for the interior one, but we'll just make it shorter a little bit because we only have a zipper that's that long too. All right. The back is done. We have our document pocket. We have our interior pocket. Boop. Let's draft our top pocket. Yeah, exactly, Tiffany. It's like they think they need I just measured that. The counselors need like a summer vacation or something. 6.5 by 7.5, 7/8 inch baffle. Yeah, okay. Let's use this piece of paper here. I think I can fit it here. There we go. A little rattling was kind of bugging me. Hi, Rachel. You're not late. We've barely done anything. They're all doing other things anyway. They're just humoring me by answering me occasionally. Everyone's working, I think. Okay, so because this has the little three-dimensional pop out right here, right? And I have limited paper because of the piece I picked. Hopefully this will fit. You're wet. I can't see you, Malcolm. You're okay. I'm going to draft that in first. I'm hoping I have a big enough piece. Uh-oh. I think you need to go outside. You want to go outside? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. You go get him, Tiger. Go get him, Tiger. We're going to give ourselves a little more paper. Camp is long. Dang. Those are going to be some tired kids. Cricket used to be pooped after camp. All right. Danny's like, yeah, it's great. All right, we're going to draft in that little baffle. So the depth that you want your pocket to be. All right. And then right there, you can see that's going to be the cutout. But just hold on there, Tiger. Now you're my Tiger. Okay, we're going to do 6.5. Oh, let's do this. 6.5 wide. This is fully a selfish stream project since I needed a new purse. And I thought, this is never going to get done unless I make it a stream or something. Even his bark is cute. It can be. That was I just woke up and I'm on fire about something. And only I know what it is. But you know what's really funny? And actually, it's not that funny. But something really interesting, and I think that this is probably going to be more about him being a pug, is say I go to clean the bathroom and like I put in like something in the toilet or the sink and I spray it there and I leave it and come back. I cannot do that. He will go, you could snore like Loki. It's kind of hard to snore like him. But he will go crazy. He will instantly be in there full barking at whatever I've sprayed and getting as close to it as possible and clearly agitated by it. So much so that now I have to turn on the fan in there, close the doors, don't leave it very long. So, you know. Okay, so now here we have our little, here's our finished pocket. Here's our little corners right here, right? And I looked it up, and it's just, you know, their sense of smell is really, really, really good. Their sense of eyesight, not so good. Sense of smell, very good for a pug. I think it's just too much sensory, and it's not good for him either. So I just shut the door, turn the fan on. Sometimes I kick him outside and he's like, what's going on? All right, so. Really, Tiffany? Cats have a good sense of smell too. All right, so now this right here is our finished pocket, right? And then this is our finished baffle amount. So we still need seam allowances. So if you think of when you're doing something like this, I'm going to draw in the finished in red. Like this is the, hopefully the red shows on camera. Not great, but like this is the finished depth, right? So that corner, this is the seam. These two red lines are the seam, right? This corner. So this needs seam allowance, that needs seam allowance, and then this outer edge needs seam allowance. So it's going to look like this. If you sewed the happy trails, you just made something like this. Oh shoot, see this is, I should be using a different ruler for the red because it's, the black on the ruler is coming off onto the red, the black from the Sharpie. Let's see, let me show you what this looks like. So do you see this right here is your cut line, right? I don't actually know. I don't think they were ever functional. Sounds terrible, but unless you like expensive vet bills, then, I mean, he aces that every time. So, you know. I'll tell you what, if you have, I just told this to somebody because they were like, oh, I've always wanted a pug or whatever. And I knew they had teenagers. And I said, look, if you have a particularly not great, like, environment in your home, like say you have teenagers and they're just like, teenagers go through a lot. Their brains are growing or whatever. They don't like their parents. Their parents may not like them. You know what I mean? Say you have people staying with you. I'm not saying adding a dog is always the best solution, but I will say that adding a pug will change the mood and the dynamic in the house. I think a lot of dogs would, but a pug in particular, and probably a couple of other breeds, they're like, they're just like an entertainment vehicle. Their mood is, they cannot dislike anybody or anything. They're just a little toddler monkey. You know, they're super cute, super like upbeat and goofy. And I just think like, I don't know, there's just something about it. And like Cricket even brought it up once. She was like, you know, Loki really changed our whole house. And it was right after the fire, you know. And you know, like where his sister went, she said the same thing happened there. The home he went to someone who was permanently on disability, pretty lonely, and it changed everything. And I think a dog, like I said, I think a dog can do that in a lot of ways. But there is something about a pug. Why did I do all four corners? We don't need all four corners, but because we want to be able to get into this pocket. But anyway, that's one of my more weirder opinions about things, but I stick by it. And I've talked to other people who have experienced it too. Oh yeah, Malcolm, we were. Exactly. No, he knew, you know, someone's got to be expensive around here, right? Okay. So, so on the rest of the pocket here, we have this zipper cutout, right? And so this zipper, the width of it is probably most likely going to resemble the width of your baffle here. I don't know why I'm teaching you how to draft this. Probably nobody's drafting this, so, and I'm sorry, I'm not really trying to teach you, but just mentioning it. We want this pocket, the zipper was going to be like 4 inches up the side, so be kind of literal about it. Let's use the pencil first. So here, 4, 4, right? So we actually, like when you look at this, we have this going under the zipper. We have a seam here, seam here, seam here. We need seam allowance on all 3 of these edges, but we don't need the baffle in the upper portion, right? So we can trim that off here, but we can leave the seam allowance. So if this is our finished spot where our zipper is going to end, then we need seam allowance here, and then we're going, this is our finished perimeter of our pocket, this right here. So we're going to add it like, I'll use the red again, here, here. Yes, I know it's kind of rounded because of the nature of sewing the zipper to that edge, so we'll round that as well. But that's really tricky to do because then you are in that whole, oh, one side of my zipper is sewing to a spot that's this long, and then the other side is sewing to a spot that's a different length. I forgot to add it to this edge here. Red pin, by the way, but my ruler just put black on it, so. The only way I can get that off then is to go like this. Get rid of all the black off of it. There we go. Yeah, you could make the pocket much deeper. It's the same exact principles. So just think about how, you know, like that's why I keep pointing to the fact that this right here is, you know, like if this was right here, a little fold right here where this baffle is kind of connecting to where the zipper seam is, think of that as your finished pocket, like not the finished pocket dimension, but it's not the finished pocket depth. And then think about the depth from that little fold, and it'll kind of help you pick, like piece it together in a way. And so, you know, this little corner down here is as simple as, you know, being made as like, all right, you just fold these 2 together. So I'll sew it, right? And then now we have our baffle, right? There it is. So your corners just need to be identical because they are a seam and they sew to one another. If you wanted that deeper, then you're adding to, so here's, you know, remember this right here, that's this, right? So if I wanted it deeper, like away from the bag more, then I'm adding to this section here. So separate these things out. One is seam allowance, one is the depth, and one is the footprint per se, right? Because you don't want to look at this as seam allowance because it's not. It's actual pocket and it's depth, if that makes sense. All right, so now we have our zippers going to go like this. So rounding this would make sense. But this is why I say this is super tricky, because when you fold this, you want to make sure, or when you sew this, right, that where the zipper is going to attach to the bag, like right here, it's going to have to be a slightly shorter length back here to match the top if we round it. So, you know, in a perfect world, this pocket, this edge here, is sewn directly under the footprint of the pocket, right? So, and right now, this right here should be the width of the zipper we're sewing in there, the finished, right? So, and this, the seam allowance, there's seam allowance on your zipper tape. So thinking of the zipper as a pattern piece rather than a zipper will be helpful. So we're going to round this corner, but we're also going to be conservative. You don't want to be too aggressive, otherwise you're going to make it really hard to sew. I'm just going to eyeball it. There we go, right? So now our zipper sews like this. I don't think, yeah, and look, it's just a raw edge right here. So it's not like they clean finished that. I did on the ones I was selling, and it wasn't easy. It was definitely one of those things where I was like, oh, I think I can do better than this. And then I was like, why? I don't have anything to prove. So it's not like anybody I knew at the time was saying, dang, Saremy, you could have done a better job of that. Like, nobody ever. So whatever, right? Okay, so we're going to do one in main fabric. My scissors. Oops. Oh, my pattern drafting scissors. They are from school, but I have another pair that I bought too that I never use, honestly, because I bought them as a spare. But yeah, they're just pattern drafting. They're scissors for cutting accurately. I've had them forever too. All right, so now we have our pocket, and then let's measure our zipper length here, which is going to be like, let's figure out the center. Let's see if we can figure out roughly what our zipper length needs to be. 13. That is what that came out to, right? 13-inch zip. Oh, I need a zipper for this pocket too. Did I have 3 in that color? In this color? Because maybe I would cheat on the back pocket and use this one here. You know? Just because it's going to be visible. I need 4 zippers for this bag. Back and front pockets. Top, the opening, and then the interior. Okay. All right, oh yeah, placement. So the placement of this, I'm gonna go by this footprint here, ideally. Because I know that I hope I can nail this when I sew it, because on the waxed cotton, I mean, honestly, waxed cotton is more forgiving than I'm saying, because if you just use a little hot iron above it and steam it, or use a hair dryer, it goes away, you know, like all the stuff. Okay, so pocket is, that's so funny. This right here is a 7/8 of an inch. Look how low it is compared to my drawing. So, yeah. We'll just make it an even inch below. We'll find our center. So I knew I would end up on that line. I'm so silly. Oh, actually we won't, because I was about to show you. So here is my finished spot on the pocket, but we don't want to mark it at the finished spot. You want to mark it kind of just inside, 1/8 to 1/4, depending on how accurate you feel. I'm going to do just something kind of in between. Like that. So then I'm going to use my little screw punch. This is not from school, by the way. I don't get to use my pattern scissors very often anymore, but I do love them a lot. I imagine one day they will be a thing of history. Okay, so there's my bottom markings. Oh, we didn't double check that we got that centered. We did not. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, I was looking at the wrong line. I was like, okay, good. Okay, and then what did I say? It's like, oi, okay. It's like almost 7.5. So I'm going to do it from parallel from the sides here. Always pick something you know is true. And then, what did I just say? Like a little under 7.5. So then we'll take off a little bit. We'll put, be kind of nice to have, let's make sure we're accurate about this, honestly, because, and then we'll make it like 7 1/8. Away from here, not there. Okay, yeah, we almost made that really hard on ourselves. Okay, right here. Not from the other marking, but from the pocket depth. And then let's make sure they're the same. All right, and there we have our drill holes. Okay, and then we'll double check, right? So if this edge right here, like say it's like this, right, here's your finished pocket, right? Like that. So it's theoretically, it's going to this bottom line outside of that drill hole like that. So that works. Okay, good. We want it to be just outside because we want to cover up whatever we use to mark on the bag. Okay. Oh, what did I want on the inside here? Just a little pencil pocket? What would we use this for? I love how we used to think we could just put a credit card or an ID right there. Would you do that? I don't think I would. What could we anchor this pocket to? I could put a little like, oh, I was going to put a key pocket. I could put a little elastic pocket there. Let's do that. Let's put a little elasticized pocket there. Am I just entertaining myself? Thanks for letting me entertain myself today. All right. Where are my keys? I was about to order a key keychain from Rachel. She just launched her new website, and she has ruler ones. They're really cute. Thanks, Malcolm. Thanks for humoring me. I appreciate it. Yeah, I could fit that in there, and then if it was like 5 by like 4.5. All right. Oh, good, Rachel. Yeah, I was like looking at them and I was like, which one do I want? Oh, nice, Tiffany. I'm glad. I am enjoying this myself. Thank you for being here. Okay, what did I say? 5 wide by 4.5 deep. All right, so we're gonna add gathers. I want it to be elastic so then they'll like hold the keys. Oh, I am so excited about this pocket. Oh. Hi, Barbara. I know you are, Sylvia. You guys don't have to entertain me. But I do feel a little guilty that this is all for me. How much gathers do we want? Let's put a little bit more. 4. I'm going to make that. But Sarah, come up with a plan here. So if we do something like, this is what I'm picturing. This is elastic. But the bottom doesn't necessarily need to have the fullness. And if it does, I have to gather that and attach it. I know, Danny. Julie, we have a spare bedroom now for when you visit. Okay, so this is actually a lot like my pocket on my project bag, which I don't even have one of those here. Or like this one. Let's grab this. Like if this, sorry, Loki. So on this pocket bucket, right, you see how this pocket sits out like that, but it's smooth along the bottom and the sides. But if this had elastic in it, right, that's what I'm thinking of. But shallower. I don't want them moving around and jiggling in there. So something like that would be great. I know, Michelle, right? I was like, oh, I love the traditional looking tape measure. And then I was like, oh, but black. Okay, so yeah, this really is like, maybe I can make it even smaller, like 4 1/4. Do you, Hillary? What did I don't have the pattern pieces here. I know that's crazy, but they're just still at the other office. Okay, so that is 7. That would be enough. And I was going for 3 and then I went to 8. Okay, so let's do 3 1/2 plus some seam allowance. That's this line right here. Some of these things are probably just in my head, like from before. And then, like, the elastic will need to cinch here. I think like 4 plus a hem allowance is enough. And then the pocket width. Let me transcribe some of my little things here before I lose it. Okay, so now we have our elastic width. But as far as the pocket finished, we'll make it 2 1/2. And then the depth was like 4 1/4. Okay, there we go. We're zeroing in. There's my depth. And then my width down here. But we need some seam allowance. And then we need some seam allowance. And if this right here were the seam, it would go to here, like that. But we, meaning me and Saremy, have learned that it's nicer to have more of a gentle curve here. So we will do something like that. Okay, and then as far as the hem shape here goes, we're going to cheat and just fold it and cut it. All right. All right, so now we just need this. Boom. My little pocket for my keys. And then the elastic will finish Oh, we actually want to cut this probably in lining because it'll be, I can't do this in wax canvas with the elastic, right? So, and we want this to finish so the elastic, we'll cut the elastic like like 5.5 inches. Yeah, it does. It is getting, this is like 5. Yeah, so 5.5 inches. All right. Ooh, I'm excited about that. All right, now we are down to, oh, but my pencil pocket. So do I just put something off to the side? I think so, you know? Don't you just love my Apple Pencil looking like my pencil? It trips me up all the time. So funny though, I love it. This works really good. Like this little pocket holder or pencil holder works really good. Let's measure this one. This is one thing we want to be kind of accurate about. Let's see here. Finished is like 1 3/8 plus seam allowance. So I'm thinking what you could do oh, I don't know if Rachel ships to the UK or not. She'll see your comment in a second. And then this is like, I'm thinking 2 inches. Yeah. So what if we just made this folded in half so that we could just sew and turn it right side out and then just top stitch it down, or, you know, like leave one edge raw to poke under the edge of the pocket, like right here, right? So in other words, two inches, we'll put some seam allowance like this, and then we want it 1 3/8 plus some seam allowance. Right? It's a little tiny pattern piece. So in other words, I mean, I guess I could put more than 1. I don't have to put 2. I just, I might want a pen. Maybe I should make this a little longer, huh? I'm really just like, no, just the pencil. Let's tape this back in here. I know I could just add it on, but I like to challenge myself sometimes, you know? Do you use the shipping feature through Shopify, Rachel? Because when I had Chicken Boots and we were shipping like a lot of packages, I didn't. They didn't have it, actually. They didn't have it at the time. I used ShipStation. It was great. And then, because it was only like $25 a month. And it would be like, it would pull in all my orders and I could just do everything. But now that I have like the basic plan on Shopify, they allow shipping and I do it through there. It's actually not bad. It's been good. So this little one, so like we need another 1 3/8, or yeah, 1 3/8. And 1 3/8. I drafted this in the funkiest way possible. They must have a really cool, like it's probably a machine that probably set this to get that little, like pleating, you know, like boop and boop don't think my thing is parallel, so we're going to double check it. Oh, there it is. I can actually see it. Okay. So then this will get sewn, folded in half, sewn across two short edges, turn right side out. This is open, right? And then once it's like that, we'll stick it right under here, and we'll do this and this, and we'll have our 2 pin pockets. And remember, this will be gathered, so it'll be parallel to the edge there. Can we fit that in there? Oi. Can we fit that in there? Uh-oh. 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 I really want the pen pocket. The key pocket might need to get smaller. Do you separate rotary cutters for fabric? I don't, but people do, Malcolm. I just don't care that much. Just to be really plain, but yeah. There are definitely people who do, and it's a great thing to do. Oh, lack of international tracking, no first class. Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. I've been surprised UPS is cheaper lately when I ship overseas. Anyone know where I put my car keys? Here they are. Okay, so we could probably make this like an inch smaller. So we're doing it. We're going to do it 3/4 of an inch smaller. Just the, yeah, I mean, for sure. 3/4 of an inch smaller. Done. We have priorities today. Dream bag incoming. Also not making a prototype, so we're flying close to the sun today. All right, right, exactly. I know, Tiffany. That's what I'm worried about. I think that this is going to give me enough space to put my keys in there still. I also don't want them to be hard to put in there, because then I'll just throw them in here and I won't use the pocket. And then I have my Apple Pencil thing. Boop, boop. I think this is doable. A piece of elastic. Oh, absolutely. I could, Michelle. That actually sounds better. Let's look at our elastic. I think I have some interesting elastic. Well, I have a lot of elastics, but I do have some wide ones. So I have these are my standard ones that I will use, especially the braided, right? But I'm just realizing I never used this. Anyway, but I do have some wider ones here. When am I going to use this? You know? I think you're right. That's the way to go. Then it can be smaller and it's less sewing. I love that. Look at this little weird piece. This is why I saved it. Thank you, Michelle. All right, we have that. We also have some softer stuff that looks a little nicer in person. Kind of like this stuff, you know. I feel like this stuff is pretty much useless as elastic unless you need something decorative. I'm braided all day. Braided elastic is my favorite. I think non-roll is kind of a joke. This isn't non-roll though. This works. This stuff's good. Non-roll is they sold us a lie with that stuff. personally speaking. All right, Michelle wins today. We're doing that. Okay. And I don't have to finish any edges. Yeah. Okay. We're going to keep this with our zippers there. Or my pencils, exactly. Okay. That's why I kept that elastic. All right, what have we got and what do we need? We need the piece that goes around the perimeter. And we're thinking about using the same back for the lining and this zipper, except maybe smaller if we remember to cut it that way, right? Okay. That only leaves the baffle, right? This thing. Not bad. All right. Let's get, maybe I can cut it out on camera. I wasn't planning. Oh, it's already one. Maybe I won't. Okay. This is the lining. I think we just need this piece here. Yeah. So we are now going to measure around the perimeter. And I'm marking the centers along each side because we could just measure 1/4 of it. This is gonna get like put in my thing and then I'll never find it. Here we go. I love that skin that I got on that pencil, but it's thicker than the old one I had. Remember like you probably didn't know what I had before, but I had this green gingham one that I designed, but I didn't like spend any I used a brush in Procreate in green and that's all I did. Then I just uploaded it. That's all I did. And it was green. However, this wrap is thicker and I feel like it doesn't grab my iPad as easily, but it's cooler. And the other company didn't have that. So, and I used to be one of those people that wouldn't pick something because I wanted to like pick the perfect thing, you know, design or whatever. And then like a long time ago, I was like, no, just do it. You won't care later and it'll be done. And you could spend wasting your time and your life designing a cover for a pencil that doesn't even need a cover. I only do it so I don't lose the pencil. That's all. That's the only reason I do it. So yeah, it doesn't protect it. Like, I don't know what it would protect it from, you know? All right, so let's put this little, I'm calling it a saddle, but I don't know what you would really call that. But we're gonna put that at this 3/4 inch mark here. So that'll be the saddle. Well, let's use green for this. Okay, so saddle goes to here. And then we have a side that goes up and it is 5 inches up, but I think that includes the wrap around the corner. Does not include the wrap around the corner. So that means it's roughly, let's draw in this seam line, not the corner. Because this is the actual gusset. Thank you. I always call it a baffle. 6. So if this was like right here, this is more along the lines of where it ends. So that is going to be one of your landmarks. I won't use the center notch on each side for sewing. I'll use this instead. and I'm putting it a 1/2 inch below center. This makes sense because my experience with doing a zippered opening like this, that when you put it up here, like above this center line, it sort of chokes the opening enough and you notice it. So when it's just past this center line here, it allows it to be more usable, like opens up the bag. The problem with this that I have found, and I haven't explored it very much because this wasn't my bag making expertise, but what I have found is if this distance is really short and you're putting the strap on the sides here, you're going to probably find that if the bag is shorter, you're going to want this line to be higher than center so that the strap is sitting along the median line there. Because if you have your strap way down here, what'll happen is the whole bag can flip, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So you're talking about like, you're creating like a fulcrum when you attach your straps there, right? So if your zipper is like straight down the middle, you're going to be limited. And that's the Sandhill Sling has the zipper straight down the middle. And so that's another thing where I was like, you know, I don't really need to redesign this whole bag. But you see how this one offsets it so that the zipper is towards the front? That gives you opportunity to put your strap higher. See how it's higher than the middle? So it's just something to think about because it seems really easy and like you can just put it anywhere and then you're like, every time I wear my bag, my whole bag flips over and dumps, you know? So, okay. So this is our end of our zipper thing there. So what we need now is a piece that goes from here to here, and a piece from here to here, and then a piece from here to here. So we need 3 pattern pieces. This one right here is very easy. Finished. Mine's going to be 9. And then, what did I say? It's 2 3/4. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, that wasn't like my area of expertise in bag making. Not that I'm an expert. I had a really successful business doing it, but I did very specific stuff, you know? Like, I am not a revolutionary bag maker. I made really functional stuff for knitters and crocheters. And maybe there wasn't anything like that when I entered that market, but that ended really quickly once I started becoming popular. It's like your own worst enemy when you start innovating. Okay, what did I say this was? Oh, what did I say mine was? Mine is 9 plus seam allowance. Okay. I don't know about that, Danny. I think it's just I was willing to sew things people were not willing to sew, and that makes a big difference. You know what I mean? Like, I was willing to sew hard things, but I also had to convince people that it was worth buying then because it made it expensive. Woohoo, Tiffany, home stretch. All right, so do we think this is just decorative right here? Because it is cool. Aw, thanks, Rachel. All right. I don't know. I want this. I bet it's not even on the inside. Nope. Solo parenting night. That's how I feel with Loki these days when Michael's out of town. I know it in no way compares. Bottom. 1 lining. 1 main. And 1 straight grain line since our text is crooked. That grain line could be either direction, actually. You can do it either way. I could do it either way. All right, so we have this. And we need this here. You know what's really interesting about measuring like with a ruler or a device? Like let's say you use, I have this one that Aisha sent me. I've never used this thing. Why is the one at the center? I saw you guys talking about this in chat yesterday. Oh, this is not gonna work. Someone has that little like rotary ruler. I wonder how accurate it is. Okay, let's see. We get 4 1/8. I'll finish my thought in just a second. I think I'm about to. Wait. Oh. 0 is way back here. Okay, so I got 5 1/2 on one and like 5 1/4 on this one. What I was gonna say is it's made, yeah, that's so funny. It's made in Lesbos. I like that. It's a really weird thing. Like there's a lot of, I feel like this wouldn't be accurate. And I think, okay, this is where my thought was going was, if you were to measure the same thing that's curved is the key here. Let's say you're measuring an armhole. If you measured this, an armhole with this, with a tape measure, and maybe with one of those rotary measures, you would most likely get a different measurement with each one. And if you were to remeasure exactly the same with each of the things would get the same measurement. They'd still all be different from one another. And so like when you start getting deep into measuring, you start realizing how inaccurate it is and how inaccurate we are, and that it's just a inherently flawed thing. There is precision, like rulers and stuff like that out there. I am not using anything precise here. Like, let's just be honest. So when I look at this ruler, instantly when I saw it, I was like, oh, this won't be that accurate if you were to compare one to the other. And the reason is, do you see how thick it is? And do you see on either side of the blue, it's a clear, this side and this side, there's this clear section here. The ruler is behind that. So that means that you lose this right here anytime you're measuring, kind of like my whole rant about like when you're binding bias facing like an armhole or something, the interior curve and the outer curve where the bias is different. It's like kind of the same thing. So I can actually go like get super like nerdy about this kind of thing. I don't know anything about it. I just know enough to know that it's not that accurate. But to redeem all of these measuring implements, if you only use this, it doesn't matter what the measurement is at the end of the day. It matters what you're using as your reference, and you're staying the same. So like say I'm always using this, as long as I'm using it to make the things that I'm measuring with this, it's okay, because it's like apples to apples. But if I were to measure with this and then draft my pattern with this, I might have a problem. You get what I mean? So in other words, if you've had problems with measuring and you're switching between rulers and things, it's accuracy versus precision. Yeah, and it's being consistent. So if you're using the same device, you're going to have better consistency, which is going to be more like accurate for what you're making. Is it that measurement? Who knows, you know? But that's less of the issue, rather than knowing like what you're trying to make or figure out the difference of. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, because I have heard people complain about these not being very accurate. So I think if you're measuring your crotch curve, it's a whole other problem. So I don't measure crotch curves. So anyway, that's my rant of the day. It's not even a rant. It's just an observation. And I know people who will be like, I only use this, or I only use a tape measure. And that's great. They can do that because they'll say but I get a different measurement. And just getting a different measurement doesn't mean that the other one's wrong. It means that they measure differently. And these rulers used to be wrong. This 1/8 of an inch used to always be narrower than this 1/8 of an inch used to be wider. Now they're more accurate. Yeah, exactly, Sylvia. Yes, that's such a good example. Because sometimes I help people that are only in metric, and while I'm getting decent at remembering certain conversions, I am definitely not going to be trusting anything that I say. But if I were to measure in metric and talk to them in metric, I just stick to the metric thing. So, yeah, we are not all the same. Exactly. All right. Let me draft this little piece here. I think I'm stopping because I like this and it seems silly, but I kind of want it. This right here has always bugged me, that it's this big blank thing, but nobody sees it. It's against the body, you know? This thing could be cleaned a little better. This fabric is so weird. All right, so this right here to this notch, we could use this right here. We've already got a little bit left, and this is going to be long enough. Wait, I didn't add seam allowance to that piece. This needs seam allowance. So funny. Unless I built it. No, I didn't build it in. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. Yeah, I know. The quilting community really can talk about the measuring. But same with the pattern drafting. Like, I've joked around with you when I worked at that one place where I was having trouble with something. And sometimes you just like, you know how like you just cannot, nothing you're doing is, you could tell right, you know, you're starting to like cloud your own judgment, and you're also starting to taint your own results. So I asked I would ask the designer, I'm like, will you measure this for me? And then she'd be like, what do you want it to measure? And the first time she said that to me, I 100% got what she was saying, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever because of that. Because you really can make it measure what you want. All right, did this get the, yeah, it did it got the seam allowances on the ends. It didn't get it on the sides. So I'm just going to draw it in so I see that they're there. That was funny that I forgot the seam allowances. And this is like 5.5. So the other weird thing about the measure is doing this little like gusset or baffle, whatever you want to call it, is that when you are, like, I'm going to bind this together, right? So we have the outer can be made, and then the lining pushed up against it, and now that it's one piece, right? This is all one piece, and then same with this gusset, and the same with the back, and then you just take those two pieces, these three pieces, and you bind them together with two seams, this seam and this seam. Easy peasy, right? The funny thing about this kind of construction is that the interior will be a different measurement than the exterior, so you have to be really careful. So erring on a little bit smaller, especially for your lining pieces, is easier in the long run to sew. Oh, do I want that little seam down the middle? Yeah, exactly, Sylvia. what's your goal here? You know? It's really funny to me. Okay, so we have our bottom. We have our side. And if we want it to be with a seam down the middle, we'll just cut this excess off. Just like if I started drafting the rest of my pieces using a pencil and I drafted all the others with the Sharpie, that is probably not going to work. Okay, so we need, these are sides. We need 4 main, 4 lining. Oh, actually, oh, I should have saved that piece. I could have used it as 1 lining piece. Shoot dang. This isn't cut out. I don't know why I was just about to use that as a thing to trace. People will do really crazy things live on camera, you know. Okay, so this will be all right. That's these. And now we just need this one right here, which is going to be our remainder measurement. So from our notch all the way around, minus, and then the width will be the same width as, you know, this, but minus our zipper and then added seam allowance. So our zipper, I think, is like almost 1 and, oh, we need to make sure our zippers, well, if our zipper is too short, we can add to the ends of it, and I might do that anyway because it's a nice way to go, like this is a separating zipper. And it'll also keep the top here together like this a little easier. That's what's nice, like Tiffany said, about continuous zipper, is that your zipper looks really nice at the ends, you know? So this right here is, it's almost 1 1/4 inches still, even though I've measured it 3 or 4 times. So we need a nice corner. And we're going to measure to this notch as well. I actually cut pieces of paper for this pattern piece, but they're still nice, so we'll just leave those. So we want this was finished 2 3/4 minus 3/4 for our zipper, because the zipper has seam allowance on each side of it, right? So the finished zipper width is like 3/4. So that means we just need this to be 2 inches wide plus our seam allowances. I think bag making is a really great example of using your finished pieces without seam allowance on them. It makes way more sense. So then we can add our seam allowance. Just adding it all to one side. And then our measurement is going to be, there it is, 11 1/8 plus seam allowance at the ends. To the center. It's windy outside. Oh, I don't have enough. Shoot, dang. We have a little at the other end. But we'll just add it. My hands are always so like messy after. Well, especially with Sharpies, you know. It's the ruler. So I need to still put in a few notches for those corners that we set ourselves up for. So let's trim this off. Trim this off. All right, so we can trim this down because we're going to put some notches in. Quarters, 2 plus a half. Okay, good. I just want to make sure I can chop off my Sharpie, and we're going to be nice and accurate. So do we do a part 1 and part 2 sewing stream? Like I don't mind going live tomorrow and starting sewing. I think I can sew this whole thing. I mean, I know I can sew it all in one sitting. But do we really need to do that? Like, would we rather have 2? Hi, Terry. Inventory on your like sewing stuff? Cool. How many yards of denim do you have now? Gotta give Terry a little bit of a hard time. Oh, I'm definitely going to show how it's sewn, but I was doing that Saturday, and now I'm like, gosh, is that a lot to sew at one sitting? I mean, I guess if I just keep it moving, you know. All right. We would like a notch here. Oh, nice. Good for you. I think I have decided to start finishing my patterns that I've been entering for years, and I've just been usually using the good graces of other users. I think now I need to see, okay, what's left, and I need to finish off my list because it's just, I just have don't have a lot of space in here, and so I was thinking that it would be nice to get rid of the binders that have one each of all my patterns, you know. Okay, so this is going to go like this. So the zipper is going to get sewn to this side here, like this, right? And then this notch goes to the back corner, right? This notch goes to the back corner right there and right there, see? But there will be a zipper right here. So we could use a notch back here for the top of our side. And then we're just going to put a notch at the top here, not at the bottom, and that's going to indicate for us, well, we will have the pocket on here, never mind. We don't really need it though, because this piece that goes on the bottom, it's really short. Like, we don't really need that, but we do need, actually what we'll do, this is how I think we'll sew this together. We will sew this to the bottom. Well, we're going to assemble this whole thing. So what do we want? What do we want? Maybe we don't want a notch here. We want one where this seam lands, 3/4 of an inch away. That would actually be really nice, I think. It would be a little easier to deal with all the notches then. What do I want notch-wise? So we have, I'll probably figure out my strap on the fly because this is pretty easy. But I could put the placement on here. That would be nice. Okay, so we have this like this. We have these little guys. There's double. Right. Like that. What do I want? I have notches here for this intersection. So maybe that's what I do. I just get rid of this one here and put a notch here. I like that. That changes it pretty easily too. So we'll notch this and we'll save the notch. Let's notch this. Save the notch, and then we can just tape it in on the corner here and replace it. And then I'm going to go extra mile, because I know me, and cover up my old stuff, like this. Just, I don't think everyone needs to do that, but I know I would, because I marked them in red, so that's a very visual indicator for me. And I can be a silly goose when I'm cutting things out and cut on the wrong lines because I didn't tell myself not to. All right, and now did we cover up? Yeah, we did. Cover up this notch with tape. This one only partially with tape. Okay, I like that. Elegant. We don't really need a notch at the front unless we decide to sew the zipper from here out. But we can decide that on the fly because we can just fold it in half. Okay, that works. We have these and this. I'm really worried that I'm going to cut along this line over here, except I do have a notch there. This piece is completely cut out. Hope I don't forget that. All right, there we go. I think we're done. What did I forget? We have, we have our front pocket here with a key pocket inside, elastic Apple Pencil holder, right? There's that. And then for our front, and we have the placement for that. We have our gusset, baffle, whatever you want to call it. The depth of the bag, which is all of these little guys and this long one. Yep, yep. Interior wise, we have the lining, and we also need pretty much need 2 of these and 1 with pocket openings. We need 1 with and 1 without because we have this one and we have this one in between. And then we have the 2 pockets. Yeah, 2 pockets right here. And we have our document pocket right here with lining. So that only leaves the strap, which is usually like, I don't know, it's like 42. For me, it's 42 inches, something like that. Where's the, is there a, oh yeah. A very noisy tape measure. It's the kind though that you can measure yourself with, like going like this. It's pretty nice. Okay. I hardly ever use it though. Let's just measure the finished. Oh, they have the sliders way up here. Oh, I kind of like that. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, so that's 43 finished, and then I need the return for adjustableness. Yeah, exactly, Terry. That's what it's for, right? 43 plus another like 8 inches. All right. So let's start. You know what? It's been a minute since we've used a pattern card. And I love these. Okay. I know, it's been forever, right? All right, so we have 1 front, 1 back. One outer back pocket. And then we have lining, one front, one back with pocket opening, without, an outer back pocket, two zip pocket linings, one key pocket. We also need to write the 2-inch elastic for pens, pencils. One outer front pocket. One outer front pocket. And then we have all of the gussets. One bottom gusset. 4 side gussets. One top zipper gusset. This also helps me kind of organize, like, did I miss anything? 2 side gusset because we've made another pattern piece. One top zip gusset. Okay, and then as far as zippers go, we have one for the zip opening. I need to measure that. One back pocket zip. Oh, I didn't mean to write that there. Shoot. That was 7.5, right? One inner pocket zip opening. Zip is 7. That's a 1/2 inch smaller. One front zip pocket. What was that one? 13 inches. And then the one that goes on the top is as long as this right here. Easy peasy, right? So I thought it was like 22 when we were measuring the bag. So 22, yep, okay. 22-inch zip. And then we have the strap. And this is using 1.5 inch wide webbing. And we want 3 pieces. Well, actually, we just need 2. Because you need one that's going to be able to, it's one that's separate that goes through the slider or the loop lock, and then one that goes through the slider. So this is always dependent upon what hardware you have. Always the question, because I didn't buy any hardware for this. I don't want a removable where are the, oh, here they are. Are we making the strap? Are we making the strap? Ooh. I like the idea of making the strap because then it doesn't have to be like black webbing, you know? All right, so we need 1.5 inch. We need one of these and one of these. So put an offering on the hardware altar, fairy altar. And let's see if we've got, okay, there's 1.5 inch brass. I don't want plastic. Oh, I actually have this too. Yeah, I'm not going to have a brass one that is like this. I have silver. So I have silver over here. I have this monstrosity. It's a buckle. I have this weird thing. This is always where it ends up, what happens, right? Where's my old purse? Is it it's a 1-inch strap, isn't it? Yeah. Probably is, yeah. So I used, to get around this, I probably used 1-inch. I didn't probably have the loop things, so I had to use D-rings, and if you use D-rings, you have to use a hook, because otherwise it'll do this, it'll pull. Shoot. Maybe I could order something and it would be there in time, and here in time on Saturday. Maybe. It's like the equivalent of ordering a $35 loop though, because if I want it to get shipped tomorrow, it won't make it. I don't want to use black. I could use black. Do I even have black? Do I have rings? What do you mean by rings? Like, what do you mean by rings? Bail me out here, Rachel. Tell me what to do. I can, oh. Wait a minute. Wait, do we have two that look like this? Okay, one thing you can do to get around this is here, you use one of these like this, right? Like exactly, Terry. So I could do this. I could do this. That's what I was thinking, Jan, but I don't know. I'm pretty good about, I don't want to use D-rings. I do want to use these, but I don't have. So I have brass, 2 brass like that. These are brass. And this is silver. But I don't even, it's like I never have, I have a lot of silver stuff. I don't even have a 3-bar slider in silver, but these weird belt things. I have plastic. I could use that. I'm actually not opposed to that, and I have black webbing. That would look okay. With the blue? With the blue, I think it works. Right, so, because I don't have 1.5-inch plastic loop locks, so I have to use 2 of these, and that's fine. My office mate gave me these. I think they're actually brass. They're so sharp, I can almost feel like they're cutting me. He had them made, and he had this one in particular made so you could take it off without unsewing. It was so niche, and I didn't know how to tell him. I'm like, you don't have to have this made, you know, but whatever. I tried. He had a project and he had a vision, so who am I to alter that, right? Okay, I think black is it. What's our backup plan? I could steal it off of this bag. Are we that desperate that I steal the hardware off the bag I'm copying? I don't want to ruin the bag if it's still usable for someone or me. So all you do this, that works for me. And I just need those 2. It also gives me an opportunity to use black zippers if I wanted to tie it all together. Yeah, okay. So one of the things I like about this is that this little guy is really high up, but where does this land? It lands right here. That's true, Jan. I could, huh? So maybe I don't need this landing here, because if I adjust this strap, my hair gets caught in it. I remember that. I could put it right here. That would work. Let's do that. So we also need a way to secure this unless we just fold it under, which works. But maybe we can make a cool little patch right here, you know? That reminds me, that cat patch that I had, what did I do with that? Where did I put that, you guys? I want to use it on this bag, you know? All right, so here, this is like 5 finished, plus we need a turn back and a hem. So we're gonna give ourselves like 6. So one of these is at 6 inches, right? And then that means that the other one is 38.5 plus 7, so that's 45 plus like 1.5 inches plus 2 inches. So 47 inches. So one at 6 inches and one at 47 inches. Cool. And then our bag is strap. Okay. Zipper. You know the problem with using these brass zippers is that I can't use a double head. Hey, go on. Rude. Oh, jeez. My gosh, this thing is so touchy. I didn't mean to even squeeze it right then. Okay, we got our plan. We ready? I'm ready. I'm excited. Finally getting my new purse that I've kind of needed for a couple of years now. I think I did find a piece of green, of the green waxed canvas. So I might be able to replace these straps right here and maybe just kind of clean up this bag a little bit and use it again. I could even swap out this flap, you know, so. Maybe we can resurrect it a little bit, you know, give it a little bit of new life. Oh, so nice to have my stuff here now. Sweet. I'm just trying to, this is my part of my process where I'm like, what have I forgotten? What have I forgotten? What am I going to be like, oh my God, how did I forget that? Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for helping me, guys. I know, right, Terry? We like green. That's the joke, Terry, is that all the purses I had here today, look, they're all green. They're all really different greens from each other. I know you're a fellow green lover, so you could probably appreciate that. And I like having that green bag. I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of bold. And it did not seem bold to me at all using it. I loved it. Like I was like so happy to use green. And this time I'm using something, I'm using a blue canvas and Smokey the Bear. So yeah, we're going a different route this time. Dang, it's already 2 o'clock. What? That took me 3 hours. That went by so quick for me. All right, well, I guess Saturday will probably be a really long stream too since I'll be sewing it, but I'm gonna cut it off camera. If I have time, I'll also be sewing my wallet, but maybe I could sew that another day. And it's just my pattern. I think it's free on my website, the one you saw me holding a second ago, but I need a new one of those too, so. All right, guys, see you Saturday. So yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. Next week there's Quick Fit on Thursday, and it is in the afternoon, so it's the later stream time, and it's grading between sizes for bottoms and pants, or pants mainly. That's what I'm gonna focus on. So, all right, guys, see you later. See you Saturday. Bye.